Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:07. It's O'Connor and Company. It's Wednesday. Good Lord, Wednesday already. Well, how does it happen? How does it happen that it just flies by like that, Julie Gunlock? I blame you for most of this. Coming up at 6:35, Cal Thomas is going to join us. 7:05, could he be the next mayor of New York? He is the Republican nominee, Curtis Sliwa, and we'll get his instant analysis on the radical, insane, maniac, socialist, communist, really.
Yes.
The Democrats just nominated. 7:35, Maryland Delegate Mark Fisher. Speaking of socialism, let's check in on Wes Moore in beautiful Maryland. And then 8:05, General Jack Keane on the ceasefire in the Middle East and the current situation in NATO as the president is there. Julie Gunlock, I'm Larry O'Connor. Julie Gunlock is with us. Julie, the world is going mad.
It is. It is totally mad.
As you so beautifully stated yesterday, we love New York. I love New York. I lived in New York for years. It's a great city. And what are they thinking? I'm glad we gave a good preview of this guy yesterday. We'll see. He might be the next.
I think I said this to you earlier this morning. Yeah, I think in certain areas, certainly in New York and other very sort of deep blue areas, I think people need to understand that this is the mainstream Democrat Party. AOC.
Yeah, well, listen, Chicago certainly went that way with their last two mayors. New York has now gone in this direction.
Yeah.
And don't forget, New York had Bill de Blasio for a while there.
That's
he was
right.
Pretty socialist as well. LA still seems to, I mean, Karen Bass is kind of a non-entity, to be honest.
But she's done incredible damage. I mean, she's done
damage.
No. She's appointed
it's not out of
people.
Ideology. It's out of incompetence.
Sure.
Know? But, I think that is where things are. Certainly where Seattle has been, Portland has been.
You look at every failing city in the United States, it is run by a Democrat, and there is tolerance for it. There is tolerance for it because in many cases, the very wealthy are shielded from the results of this type of leadership. They live in their gated communities, or they're just so wealthy that they don't even notice the increase in prices.
Well, I'll tell you
shielded from it. So this continues.
This socialist, Zoran Mandami, is it? He, 33 years old, just became a citizen 7 years ago, has incredibly racist, anti-Semitic, outrageous, anti-American things in his past that he has said on the record. We got the video of it. One of the things he ran on was to fix the affordable housing problem in New York. You know, the rent is too damn high. You know, things called it too expensive to pay your mortgage.
It's such a new problem in New York.
Yeah, right, exactly. But here's the thing: he might actually solve that problem. He actually might, but unwittingly, if he does become mayor, there's going to be an exodus, even a further exodus. You know, real estate prices are based on supply and demand. And it's quite possible that there's going to be a huge amount of supply and not much demand. I mean, there will be demand coming from, rich people from the Middle East, perhaps. And again, not to sound like I'm sort of being religiously bigoted or anything, God forbid. And I'm not necessarily casting any kind of negative judgment on this reality, but let's at least acknowledge the reality that if he were to win, we will have several major cities worldwide now that had been traditionally Christian, Western, Anglo cities now have a Muslim, Middle Eastern connected mayor.
Yeah.
I saw a map the other day of major cities in England, and the majority of the major cities in England now have Muslim, Middle Eastern mayors, or Pakistani Muslim mayors, or Indian Muslim mayors, but not your traditional sort of Brit, not your traditional Western Anglo-Christian Brit. And it would be
and things seem to be going really well in London.
If you had told Julie Gunlock on September 12th, 2001, that in less than 25 years, the mayor of New York will be a
radical,
foreign-born, radical, socialist,
anti-Semitic,
Muslim who has anti-Semitic, anti-American statements in his past. Would you have believed that on the day after 9/11? And actually, it would be I don't know that
pretty soon after 9/11, Republicans and Democrats were falling all over themselves, touring, Muslim centers and saying, "Oh, Muslim is a religion of peace." I don't know. Pretty quickly, I got the idea that we're gonna make this all about how great the Muslims are. So maybe I would have predicted it.
I suppose, but I mean, there are Muslims and there are Muslims, and generally speaking, the Muslims who are radical communists who say horrible anti-Semitic, anti-American things are not the ones that you think are the best salve to heal the wounds of 9/11. But
yeah, well,
but there it is. This is a man who said that he would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu should he come to New York for international crimes. Listen, it's a pretty big story. We'll try to unpack it and the cultural impact of it, which is significant. I mean, as the morning goes on, I know Cal will have some opinions about it, and Curtis Lewa, as I mentioned, who, I tried to break this down the other day. Andrew Cuomo has conceded the Democrat nomination. He is technically still on the ballot. New York has all these really weird third, fourth, fifth, and 12th parties. And,
it's so weird. It really is weird though that Cuomo is like you were hoping for Cuomo. The sex pest, and you were really hoping for him. But I will say one really quick thing. You just know we're talking about all the radical things that worry us about Mamdani, but even his sort of practical solutions. Like when you look at problems in New York City, the price of food, which is a national problem, right? His solution is to federalize grocery stores, or to turn them into government grocery stores. I mean, I get that he's not a Gen Xer, but can he maybe crack open a history book and look at the Soviet Union and see how that worked over there? I think it's important to note that not only is he radical on all of these sort of big issues, just his solutions to local problems are a disaster.
Yeah, I need to look at remind myself of the government structure in New York and how much power the mayor has and how much he relies on a huge city council, and whether he can just do that unilaterally, because there is still some sanity in New York, I assure you. But you're right. It is terrifying that this is an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders endorsed candidate.
Yes,
this is who it is.
Yes.
But I think that you sort of revealed what's really at play here when you said that it's sad and pathetic that the alternative, the one you're kind of hoping for, the sane option, is Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo with the sex scandals, drummed out of the governor's office with a sex scandal, further reports of abuse of his employees, plus, by the way, acted as a tyrant during COVID-19. And many people credibly say that he killed thousands of elderly people by forcing COVID patients into nursing homes when we knew old people were the most vulnerable to death, all to continue the COVID narrative. And let's not forget the nipple rings that he has. You can see them right through his shirts there. He's just a creepy, weird, disgraced, obnoxious dude. And I think that may be why New York was willing to go with this radical choice, because I think mostly this was very much like, oh gosh, how could they elect Donald Trump? Well, he had some good ideas, but more importantly, he wasn't Hillary Clinton. And I think that was a big, when you force people into a horrible choice, sometimes they'll make a choice that will surprise you.
Right.
A little bit more on this and what the general election might look like, because New York is a very strange state, really, when it comes to all of these smaller parties that major candidates align themselves with, including Cuomo. We'll give you that in a moment.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So Eric Adams, the incumbent mayor of New York, he's running as an independent, and he will be on the ballot. So New Yorkers, when they actually go to vote in November, they're going to have multiple choices. Curtis Lewa, the Republican nominee, is going to join us coming up later in the program. He's an erstwhile candidate and has tried many times and has not been able to sort of close the deal. Eric Adams is the current mayor. His great sin is he got on the bad side of the Biden administration.
Yes.
Because he was angry at the immigration problem and how the influx of all of these illegal immigrants that crossed the border illegally and were criminals were wreaking havoc on his city. He actually spoke out against it. And so the next thing you know, Biden's Justice Department found corruption charges against Eric Adams. Eric Adams is now cooperating with Trump, so of course you can't vote for him if you're a New Yorker. Then you got Andrew Cuomo. Now, Andrew Cuomo did not get the Democrat nomination, but he has already secured a position on the ballot on something called the Fight and Deliver Party. See, this is the thing about New York. You got your Democrat Party, you got your Republican Party, you got your Independent Party, you got your Libertarian Party, you got your Conservative Party, you've got your Liberal Party, you've got...
God, this is Europe.
It's insane. But oftentimes you'll get the same candidate running as the nominee and on 5 of those parties. It's
because it's coalition. It's so European. They they broker these deals and then.
So Andrew Cuomo is technically on the ballot. The question is, will he keep running? Because he was so repudiated yesterday. And again, I think the bigger message, yes, New York is nuts. Yes, they're crazy. Yes, there's been an influx of new foreign voters who may have influenced this vote as well, as they've secured the right to vote and the citizenship, possibly under dubious circumstances over the course of the last 5 to 10 years. This is, again, in some respects, the Democrats' plan to sort of remake the electorate. We can't convince the current voters here in this country to vote for us, so let's import some new ones. Yeah. And this is what you end up with. But I don't think you should underestimate the reality that so many New Yorkers just hate Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
And given the choice, I remember the day after the election, I really do want to compare this quite a bit to the 2016 presidential election, because I think that Trump's victory had as much to do with Hillary Clinton as it had to do with Donald Trump. All of the smart set were so aligned for Hillary and so repulsed by the idea of Donald Trump that in many people's minds it was like, oh, yes, screw you. I hate Hillary Clinton, and I'm not going to buy it no matter how hard you sell it to me. Even if you call me a racist and all of these things you're going to call me, I'm still not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And I think that was a major mood in New York. I think people really don't like Andrew Cuomo, and the establishment were just forcing it. They were just saying, no, we don't care if you don't like him. He's our guy. And, well, funny things happen sometimes.
Yeah,
when American voters feel like they're getting forced to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah, and you heard that. Actually, I listened to a lot of man on the street interviews, and obviously, this is anecdotal. This is not scientific, but it was interesting. Some people had some kooky ideas like, oh, yeah, I think, he's great for this, that, and the other. But the consistent theme with all of them is they would all say, I wanted something new. Yeah. I wanted something new. People do get to that point where they just kind of don't care about what sort of this candidate and that candidate is. If they're seen as establishment and things have been going wrong in the city, they're done. They'll take anything new.
When I lived in New York as a teenager, when I first moved to New York, Andrew Cuomo, or
his dad,
Mario Cuomo, was the governor.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, in the late 80s, they were pushing Mario Cuomo out as president. He'd be a great president. He'd be a great president.
It really is, though. Or go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just saying, a Cuomo has been in our life consistently since,
and a Clinton, and it's like these people. It's like Virginia saying bye bye to Terry McAuliffe. It was a rejection of Terry McAuliffe, but ultimately it was a rejection of the Clinton machine. That's right. And people are tired of these people.
And if you're tired of Hillary Clinton and you don't want Clinton in your life, you go as far away from Hillary Clinton as you can. You get Donald Trump.
Frankly, the American public is tired of other dynasties on our side. They're tired of the Bushes. Yeah. They're tired of the Cheneys. We're seeing the same thing on our side. Right.
So I think there was a lot of that at play, too. And listen, he still got he got a lot of votes. He just didn't win the Democrat nomination. Those votes could carry with him into the general election. And Eric Adams could end up getting a lot of votes in the general election. There is a lane where Curtis Lewa could actually win this thing. If he gets his solid, 35%, 35% could be more than enough to win the mayoral election in New York City. So it's going to be a fascinating campaign. And say what you will, I know that he's got TikTok videos, and I know that he's the flavor of the month. But when so many are going to be aligned against him in the general election, and he's going to reveal himself, and his ideas will reveal themselves to be as cuckoo as they are. He's only 33 years old. He's never run for a major seat like this. He's a state assemblyman. I don't believe he's going to be able to carry this through. And I think even the mainstream media, many of whom run by very rich people in Manhattan, they know that he would be a disaster. And so I would not sort of write this off and say, that's it, this guy's going to be mayor in New York.
Well, from your lips to God's ear, because
I think
New York
cooler
does not
heads
need
will
this.
prevail. The question is where they prevail to and who they coalesce behind. It's an imperfect slate of candidates, to say the least. 524.
Coming up, we'll have an update on the Iran strikes. Washington Post is reporting, those bunker bombers didn't do much. But is that true? We'll discuss. Keep it here. It's 5:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 5:37 this Wednesday morning, and like yesterday, we're under a heat advisory all day. It's going to be hot. It's going to be nasty, and we're here for it. We're going to get you started up. You're going to have a nasty day. You want to start it with Larry and Julie. That's what you want. How do you start your nasty day? Oh, with Larry and Julie, obviously. We bring the nasty. It's 6:35. We'll talk to Cal Thomas. At 7:05, Curtis Lewa is the Republican nominee for mayor in New York, and he could very well win. 7:35, Maryland Delegate Mark Fisher on the energy prices in Maryland. And then at 8:05, General Jack Keane, Larry O'Connor, Julie Gunlock. Julie, I wish I had said this on the air over the course of the last couple of days. I should have, because this is quite possibly the most predictable story of our lifetime. We all saw it coming. Donald Trump had a hugely successful military and diplomatic success in a region where no one expected anyone to succeed, let alone Donald Trump, the man who shouldn't even be president after all. He defied all expectations, defied the experts, defied conventional wisdom, did it his way, and seemed to have gotten the thing done. Not only destroyed Iran's nuclear capabilities, but also brought a ceasefire to these warring factions and potentially a lasting peace to the region. We should have all predicted that within moments, the absolute earliest opportunity the media had to undermine, undercut, and deliver a counter-narrative, they would. And they would do it on the backs of anonymous, illegal leaks from within the government apparatus that is still opposing the President of the United States. And there we had it, the headline from CNN, exclusive. I love it when it's exclusive. Early intel assessment suggests strike against Iran did not destroy nuclear sites, sources say. Now, that's hugely devastating and impactful for the Trump narrative coming out of the strikes against the Iran nuclear facilities. Terrible. Here's the problem. If you look a little closer down, right under that great headline I just read you, the very first name on the byline is one Natasha Bertrand. Now, if that name
Let me think.
sounds familiar, there have been two other major stories that she has also been the exclusive recipient of anonymous leaks.
What are those, Larry?
The first one had to do with a dossier that had been assembled by a former British spy about Donald Trump's collusion with the Russian government.
Would that be called the Steele dossier?
Steele dossier,
Yes.
Fusion GPS, and the Russian collusion hoax. Natasha Bertrand, back then she was working for Politico.
And she won an award for it, I think.
Several, and a promotion and tons of money from her new contract at CNN. where she broke another story. Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say. Byline, Natasha Bertrand. So,
goodness gracious, they are relentless.
Forgive my skepticism here.
Right.
But there's an old saying, consider the source. And I'm not talking about the illegal anonymous source. I'm talking about the one who actually takes that and prints it.
I also love that basically these bombs added up. What were there, 16, 14, something like that, bunker buster bombs that went into these sites, and which added up to something like a third of a nuclear bomb. Like, it's that powerful. Yeah. And apparently Natasha Bertrand has been there and has assessed
the damage.
Like, we know that the intel hasn't fully come in yet, and yet there's Natasha able to assess. No, everything's fine. They just are a few months delayed now. I mean, we don't know.
We don't know, and here's what you do need to know. Number one, it is factual that apparently, because the White House has basically confirmed that there is one report from one person at one agency who has delivered their assessment, and this is what they believe the results of the bombing were. Now, we have 17 intelligence agencies.
That's right.
Many of them, if not all of them, are doing their own part in assessing, including, the Department of Energy has their own intelligence agency. And since this is an atomic nuclear issue, they're going to lend a hand in delivering the assessment as well.
Yeah, I just want to say really quickly, like, as much as in the news, and I know this is a whole different segment, but, Tulsi Gabbard has been getting crap over the last couple of weeks. She has to deliver an assessment of all 17 of those intelligence agencies and deliver sort of a consensus of what all of them are saying. These aren't opinions she's giving. She is giving what the overall assessment is from all of these different intelligence agencies. I just wish they'd cut her a break, because I think
I agree, and we should discuss that later. I just don't want to raise her name as some connect her name with this story.
I know. But you mentioned the 17.
This did not come from the director of intelligence.
No, it didn't.
This came from one rando who works probably at the Pentagon, not sure where, in intelligence, who has come up with this assessment, and it's been leaked to Natasha Bertrand, and now it's been confirmed by a couple of other agencies. There is no official assessment from our director of intelligence or from any of the heads of any of those 17. This isn't even the head of one of those 17 intelligence agencies.
Right. We don't know who this is. Yeah.
So that's what you need to know. The White House is, of course, decrying the reporting and because here's, we'll get to, there's more on this story, and we will get to it in a moment, because you need to recognize the reality and truth behind the story and then contextualize it with the way the media is running with it. Because as we deliver this for you in a moment, the bottom line is, and we'll give you more details, that nuclear program that the media just a week ago told you was either non-existent or wasn't even close to developing a weapon, now that very same nuclear program didn't even get affected and now looms large as a major danger and threat to the world. Just digest that for a bit while we take a quick one. It's 5:43.
Breaking news and the inside story on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Yeah, and let's try to make sense of this story. You're going to see the same words used over and over. They all repeat each other. They all come out now with their own version of the same exclusive story that CNN had, again, reported on and written by. And when I say reported on, I mean she's got a handful of anonymous sources in the intelligence agencies who hate Donald Trump, and so she has made a career, this Natasha Bertrand, of repeating unauthorized illegal leaks that have been given to her to hurt Donald Trump. Whenever you see an anonymous leak as the source of a major story in Washington, D.C., understand that a major part of the story is being withheld from you. A major part of every single story that involves an anonymous leak is, A, who leaked it, and B, why. and they'll never report those two things. Now, I'm not saying that means the initial report is not true or not valid or not important. All I'm saying is that by definition, when a reporter gets an anonymous leak and they report it to you, they are leaving out a huge part of the story, willfully and deliberately. Who leaked it and why did they leak it? This report is going to now be repeated by all the other news agents. Washington Post now has it. New York Times now has it. They're all following suit. And they all use this same phrase. Core components of Iran's nuclear effort were damaged but not destroyed. Core components, core components, core components. What are those core components? We're talking about stockpiles of enriched uranium, which was the whole point in the first place of this strike. And by the way, those stockpiles of enriched uranium that can be used for a nuclear weapon, the very same people in the media who are now gleefully reporting that they didn't really get damaged that much, even though they don't know that for sure. They're only getting one leak from one anonymous person. Well, that same stockpile of enriched uranium that they're gleefully now reporting remains intact, they were denying even existed 5 days ago, Julie.
Yeah, and this is how it's done, this imprimatur of legitimacy when the New York Times reports it, or CNN reports it, and then CNN can say, and the New York Times is backing us, and the Washington Post has confirmed it, and they're all confirming that same anonymous source that no one knows. It is that imprimatur of legitimacy, and sort of, but again, people need to understand, this is the establishment media, this is the mainstream corporate media that has lied to us, just like Natasha Bertrand. She's behind the Russia collusion hoax. She's behind the laptop is Russia collusion. Don't forget, these are the people who lied to you for years. It's
Peter and the Wolf. This could be 100% legit, to the letter, perfectly true and trustworthy. But since Natasha Bertrand is delivering it to you, has she earned the right to be believed? Of course not.
She never apologized for any of her other false reporting.
No. She still has a job, and she's still reporting for CNN.
She didn't return the awards.
So, speaking of CNN, here's Erin Burnett. Now, Erin Burnett is not a reporter. She's a teleprompter reader with a nice haircut. That's the job. And she delivered, but sometimes she gives her opinion when she does it. Now, here she is, just 5 days ago, Erin Burnett, talking about the Iran nuclear program. This is before Donald Trump successfully destroyed it. Listen.
Of Iran being a few weeks away from a nuclear bomb is in direct contradiction to CNN's reporting. According to U.S. intelligence assessments, Iran is 3 years away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon if they wanted to. So the facts on Iran getting a nuclear weapon do not bear out the claim at the heart of what has put the world on the verge of world war.
On the verge of world war. I love it. That's so. A world war means that you've got wars on multiple continents. Literally every single country on the planet disavowed Iran before these attacks. There was never a threat of the verge of world war. But set the hyperbole aside. She just said that, first of all, she said, our reporting suggests that they're 3 years away from a nuclear weapon. Hold on a minute. That's the best case scenario?
Yeah,
Bomb the hell out of them.
Wait, 3 years? In 3 years, my teenager is still a teenager. What are you talking about?
3 years is nothing. All right, but that's set that aside for a minute. The arrogance in the voice. Our reporting suggests that's just not true. Why would we do this? Put us on the brink of world war. Okay, that was 5 days ago. Now here's the same reporter yesterday gleefully assessing that there was no damage.
It only set back the Iranian nuclear program by months. We got to call it like it is. It's a big deal.
Wait, it's a big deal? I thought so the exact same program that 5 days ago was no big deal and no threat, now that it hasn't been damaged, it's a big deal. But that's okay. Wait, that's not can I just tell you, that's not even the best Erin Burnett reporting yesterday. They flew her out to the Middle East. I believe she's in where is she? Oh, United Arab Emirates, which makes a whole lot of sense.
Sure.
It's so insulting. It's like, oh, there's something happening in South Africa. Quick, send a reporter to Egypt.
Yeah.
It's like there's a major deal going on in Iran, so we'll send a reporter there so that we need to look like we're a global news network. So have her standing in the desert somewhere. It's like you might as well have her in the outskirts of Tucson, Arizona.
Right.
But no, she's at the United Arab Emirates. She's reporting. And listen to her reporting, her firsthand assessment of what it's been like for her when she is reported from inside the nation of Iran. Cut 4.
Question is whether or not the calm can remain when the regime that is still there, who wants death to America, death to Israel, stays in place. And that is part of the discussion, right?
Yes, absolutely part of the discussion. And, I remember, Dan, at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting death to America all around me, even as I say, oh, I'm an American reporting for CNN, and they were happy to speak to me. So that those two is sort of jarring realities of the chant, and yet the friendliness have existed together.
There's a real friendliness about their "Death to America" chant, Julie.
They're just kidding. It's so funny.
It's fiery but mostly peaceful "Death to America."
Yes.
I think actually, if
just
Erin
a
Burnett,
song they're singing.
if she stopped for a moment and just reflected on what she just said, what she's conceding is they're screaming "Death to America," and when I identified myself as an American with CNN, they were very friendly because they knew I agreed with them and I'm on their side.
Yeah, let's talk to Laura Logan about that. Okay.
It's 5:54.